the Super Eagles of Nigeria, of course, reaction continues to trail the setback for the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the World Cup qualifiers. Mr. Sam, we hear that the Nigerian Football Federation has tendered an apology to Nigerians, for the setback, of course, in the World Cup qualifiers. Should Nigerians take this apology?
Well, the apology is not going to be enough if they do not make the efforts that we want to see. Missing the World Cup twice in a row, like back to back, it's quite appalling for a country like Nigeria, where we have talents. We have talents on the streets, we have talents playing for different clubs, we have talents without the nation. So this is a country that in diaspora, they are rich and blessed with human resources, and within, they're equally rich in resources. So that will certainly point a finger at the Nigerian Football Federation. And so it's either they make the changes, an apology will not be enough. And when we beat the Qatar World Cup in Qatar, certainly you have said, okay, we're going to do better, we're going to bounce back. Now we're missing the next World Cup, and so imagine us having apologies every 4 years. People say, now is it apologies we're going to use to make progress? No. I think true change would mean that the effort is being made to reverse this rot as far as football in Nigeria is concerned. And when you look at people, one could say, could it be Eric Chell? Could it be the players that they are lackluster? But then there were all these fingers already, clearly. They were already pointed all along as far as the football in Nigeria is concerned. When you look at the fact that we have countries, you look at the league, we'll talk about the ranking of leagues as far as Africa is concerned. You look at the fact that a country like Egypt, they top the ranking as far as the best leagues is concerned, based on the International Federation of Football History and the stats. Look at the ranking. Egypt tops the charts, and then there is Algeria, there's Morocco, and then there's Algeria. And the 5 top leagues in Africa, based on their last ranking, so based on last year, Nigeria is not there. So it means that we need to start from the base to handle the issue as far as football and Nigerian football is concerned. We might try to do cosmetics. Qualifying for the World Cup would be cosmetic. Going for the World Cup would just be us trying to put something over the rocks and make it look like, we're doing well. It will not solve the core of the problem. So I think for me, an open heart surgery at this point is very, very vital. An apology is not enough. An open heart surgery is vital. And then we let the NFF, let the body in charge of football in Nigeria handle the core issues. And so when we can see our football making progress, Nigerians will certainly talk. Mind you, Nigerians like talking. We're going to talk. People are going to say, we're not making progress, we're not this. But I tell you, you look at a country like France. I think around in the 90s or thereabout, I think France, they had this poor run of results. And then they came up with a strategy. I don't know what it was called. I think Clarifonte. I can't really pronounce it. It's not an English name per se, but it was like an academy, which the target was to raise talent, and it paid off. I think 10 years later, I think they were able to. Most of the squad that won the World Cup, they were from that particular, I think, a national academy. So there was a strategy. It didn't pay off quickly. So whatever we want to do now, it's an apology. While it's good, to tender an apology, but there needs to be a roadmap as to how our football, the game of football will look like. Morocco is reaping the gains currently, infrastructure, when you're looking at where they're going to talk about tournaments in the next 5, 10 years in Africa, coming to Africa, most of them will certainly be hosted in Morocco because of the investment that they've made. And I tell you, not just in that area. So I think I'll just stop here, but know that there needs to be an open heart surgery, and then we can actually wait and know that okay, this apology is meaningful. Without that open heart surgery and work being done, the apology is just to save face.
You know, a lot of Nigerians are still, of course, sharing their opinion on that reaction from Coach Eric Chell after that penalty shootout we saw that was over the weekend, where he said that there was a particular DR Congo player that was actually chanting something, or he said they won the penalty with voodoo, as a start. Nigerians are still reacting, of course, on that. What do you make of that reaction from Eric Chell? And talking about voodoo, does it work, of course, in football? This is a question, of course, we've been asking for a very, very long time.
Okay, voodoo. Well, our preparation. I think you have to first of all look at the basics. If you're functional thinking, as a functional thinking, in a functional thinking system, or a system that is built on functioning, you would consider first, did we prepare properly? Did we prepare well? And the fact that most of the games we played, even the ones of them that we later got to win, I think we had a lot of draws. Many of our games ended in draws at regulation time. And so you look at the mix of that team, you look at we had 3 coaches in this qualifier series for this World Cup. Preparation was already in question. So it will only be when you have put everything in place, you've made, if you want to look at the journal of the Nigerian Premier Football League, Nigerian football, even in Nigerian football, you would read. If you've read books like 1,000 Times on the Same Road, some other books by some Nigerian football journalists, or some authors that have covered the Nigerian league, they'll tell you that at different points in time, they've had encounters that I would say that look like a spiritual kind of encounters related to voodoo. So as far as Africa is concerned, and I think even not just Africa, but I think generally in the world, people have their beliefs. And so just like that game when Nigeria was playing, where I was watching the game from, there were these young boys that were around. They came to sit and they were just watching the game with me alongside I and my family. And I could see some of them quite agitated. They were praying and saying, "Oh God, please." They were like, "God," you see them try to rope God into the situation. And for me, I was like, if the DR Congo, the Christians in DR Congo, for instance, what if I didn't know Christians there equally? Don't you think they would also want to win? In fact, if I were to be God, for instance, I would give it to DR Congo more. They've not gone to the World Cup since they became Congo. The last time they went for the World Cup was in the country's name was Zaire. That was the last time they went for the World Cup. And so since they became Congo, they've not gone for the World Cup. So if I were to be just and fair and say, okay, based on no partiality, everybody take your share, chop your own. If I were God, I would give it to DR Congo. So, and I told them stop bringing your emotions, just be calm, watch the game, enjoy the game, and let's see if Nigeria is going to qualify. So would I have been happy as a Nigeria qualified? Yes, I would be happy. Would I be glad to see Nigeria at the World Cup? Yes, I would be happy. Would I feel starved not seeing Nigeria in another World Cup another World Cup? Certainly, I would be displeased not seeing Nigeria in another World Cup. But it is what it is. How well will we prepare? Look at this DR Congo team. Look at how the boys have been playing. You can even see, you can see the heart. You can see the motivation. So the government on its own, they motivated the players. You could look at the amount of money that was being put into motivate the players and see, guys, we need to do this. We need to get this. And so Based on motivation, they had the motivation. Based on their structure, the units, they were quite compact. You could see the way they played with heart up to this very stage. And they planned very well. You look at the substitutions they made, equally in-game tactics too. Last minute change, brought in another goalkeeper who was better with penalties. You could see that they looked more intentional, like a team that wanted it a lot more. So everybody seemed to have wanted it. And so, but when we look at the Super Eagles game, for instance, our midfield was disjointed. Our midfield didn't look like they had it. So while the defenders were good, and then we also had pedigree in terms of these attackers that we have, but you could see that disconnect. That they couldn't let the ball flow from the defense to the strikers. And it's something that also like in a while. Having very good midfielders, it's been also something as far as the Super Eagles is concerned. We've not really been able to have for a while. That's something we don't really talk about. We don't really talk about it. So I think the planning, the preparation, the process, it needs to be called into question before we now look at external factors like voodoo or juju. We have to look at how well prepared were we for this.
Okay.
And yeah, thank you.
All right, let's see how it goes. But quick one, I would like to get your thoughts on this before we call it a wrap because our time is up. We understand that Coach Eric Chell signed a performance-based contract with the Nigerian Football Federation. With the situation of things, should he continue or the NFF should let him go?
Well, I think if I were to grade Eric Chell, while we would say Eric Chell has done well, looking at the number of games they've played as a team, the ones that he's won, the draws, and sadly that last outstar against DR Congo. But if you also to look at it without emotions, you see that there was one factor, Victor Osimhen. And that factor was present and very crucial to every great result that the Nigerian Super Eagles had in the build-up for this particular World Cup. So, so the other coaches also quite lacked that factor. So, if you want to take emotions out of it, it would be a situation of, well, based on what we want at the moment, is Eric Chell really what we want? But I'm more of the long term. We look at what he's achieved. Why did we bring Eric Chell in the first place? We saw his pedigree. So okay, let's bring him. Let's see what he can do here with us. And so I think it would be important to give a coach time. It would be great to give a coach time, and then let him. This is a crop of Super Eagles players that have been playing for a while. We've seen Moses Simon, his legs are tired. We've seen different players. They have tried. In their prime, in their younger years, they will run riot. They will run a very young Moses Simon. I don't think that their Congo team would be able to match him.
Okay.
So it would be to give him the time, let him do what he needs to do, bring in his team, and then possibly we can now reach Eric Chell.